Everyone, this is lesson 9, and the lesson 9 is post-war period and neocolonialism in the Philippines. Lesson objectives. By the ends of this lesson, the student will be able to describe the general characteristic of the Philippines government and society in the post-war period, analyze the relationship between the Philippines and the United States of America with selected primary sources, and assess the level of Philippines democracy and sovereignty in the period steer American colonization. Neocolonialism is the control of less developed countries by developed colonies through indirect means of political, economic, or control instead military control. So, ang neocolonialism is ang pagkontrol ng mga maunlad na bansa sa mga hindi gaanong maunlad na bansa sa pamamagitan ng politika, ekonomiya o kultura sa halip ng control militar. Ang Cold War the Cold War periods of non-collaboration between the Soviet Union and United States and their respective allies from 1947 to 1991. Cold War, ang panahon ng tunggalian ng hindi gumagamit ng direktang labanan sa pamilitan ng Unyong Soviet ng Estados Unidos at ang kanilang mga kaalyado mula 1947 hanggang 1991. Ang Hawk Rebellion, ang communist-led present uprising in the Central Luzon from 1940 to 1954. So, ang Hawk Rebellion ay isang pag-aalsa sa mga nagsasaka, pinamumunuan ng mga komunista sa gitnang Luzon mula noong 1940 hanggang 1954. Democracy, the beliefs is the freedom and equality between people or system government based on this belief in which power is either held by elected representatives indirectly by people themselves. So, ang demokrasya, ang paniniwala sa kalayaan at pagkakapantay-pantay sa pamagitan ng mga tao o isang sistema na pamalaan ng mga nakabatay sa paniniwalang ito kung saan ang kapangyarihan ay hawak ng mga halal sa kinatawan o direkla ng mga tao mismo. Then, on 4 July 1946, the Americans would upon the Filipino their foot independence whoever despite the recognition of the Philippines sovereignty of their newly independent nation. The Philippines remained independent on the United States economic policies or political system on state agenda were made and implemented to power the Americans. The post-war years of the countries can summarize to a single theme of neocolonialism. Well, the government was composed of Filipino and the United States had close influence on the unitedly elected government. The ruled countries for most of 20th century, while the country case to be a U.S. territory, the relationship that was built between the two countries still continued elements of colonial subservience and dependency. In this lesson, we are going to look at the parents' primary sources that demonstrate American neocolonialism in the Philippines from intimate post-war year until the culmination of ACD Republic. This lesson tackles the post-war period in the Philippines by looking at 3 documents that demonstrate the kind of relationship between the Philippines as a newly independent nation state and its primary collider in words superpower, the United States of America. We are going to read and analyze 3 different kinds of primary sources that are useful in painting the picture of Philippines during the period. The first document is the declassified U.S. Central Intelligence Agency CISD that reports that continue in the Philippines in the years of 1950. The second is an article published in Manage called in the Philippines Free Press about the 1953 president election, and the last one is the piece delivered by former President Corazon Aquino before the U.S. Congress in September 1986. So, noong ika-4 na Hulyo 1946, binagkaloob ng mga Amerikano sa mga Pilipino ang kanilang kalayaan. Intelligence Memorandum Number 296 of June 1950. The Central Intelligence Agency, CAI of the United States, was introduced after the World War II. It's become the primary agency of the United States in terms of intelligence works that has been feature of this diverse and new words order the World War periods. These periods culminated after the World War II, and that characterized with the relentless competition between the democracies of the United States of America and the Communist Union of Socialist Republic UCCR for words supremacy in such a context. The Philippines, as a former U.S. colony, was automatically resumed to under the U.S. umbrella. Those the colonials of the post-war periods in the Philippines, which is anti-communist and liberal economic learning. These were instability documented in any CI documents that were product about the Philippines in this period. These documents are originally confidential and classified after the economic of the freedom of international law in the United States of CI declassified values of paper that were over 25 years old. However, most of these documents were limited United copies. One of the earliest documents was Intelligence Memorandum number 296 with the subject correct situation in the Philippines on dates 6 June 1950. The memorandum is 5-page reports of the political, economic, and military situation in the Philippines and how to commission in the relationship between the United States, the introduction of the reported state. Even though the condition in the Philippines showed is the near future case and until of President Byron, the residing of administration could be expected to be pro-US US in the present decline in stability throughout the Philippines continue for as most as 10 years. However, pro-communists may be able to seize power. The report was divided into the part political situation, economic situation, and military situation for the United States. They are expect were most important ones in the pressing in the Philippines. In the political aspect, the United States was optimistic about the presidency of the President Elpidio Quirino. His government was marred by corruption scandal across different levels governance. The CI directed on active resentment against government efficiently and abuse and among the people which lead the general loss of confidence in the government. This plague developed in the CI assessment further and secreted the communist lead Hawk and government movement in Luzon. CI almost described as corruption and independently of variety of levels corruptions was said to be presented by small group or wealthy landowners and entrepreneurs who extracted in the Filipino colony resulting from a lack of self-experience, from knowledge of economic power, and from confidence in the past piety of the disorganized and the community mass of people. In terms of people economy, at that period, the CI described the Philippines as almost self-sufficient in the Philippines, self-sufficient in food, people, long range stability. However, there also mention how long-standing inequalities in the nation agrary system have been exploited by the colonists and have not only created develop of the Hawk movement in region but are proceeding unrest elsewhere in the the CA also mentioned the critical problem of the nation's ability to declaration financial vision that Philippines government did with this problem by ensuring tax and continuing import control. There's measure result in price interest in important goods that governments also encounters difficulties in the conduct of region trade, which further lead to interest people that land of us to country economic future which lead to a great political instability. Aside from the corruption and efficiency of the government which the CIA show as a result of the political immaturity and equity, education, the law enforcement, intuition of the Philippines armed force were also seen to not possess any capability for maintaining law and order or even for preventing efficiency by Hawks which was central concern of the United States was organized that fought on Japan in the preceding period and become an anti-government group during the post-war years. In this 1950 document, the CIA installment in all the Hawk activity and the presently confined in the island of Luzon in the experimenting of growing more instead